Hi, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Journey Latin America's second series of our virtual travel club. So this is, we'll be heading to active Latin America tonight, and we're joined by Hannah and Sophie from one of our two esteemed travel experts who are going to be telling you all about their fantastic adventures traveling around Latin America and the best ways to explore the continent in the most active, but sometimes you don't have to be too active, mountaineering and all of that. You can, if you're sort of interested in soft adventure and just like sort of gentle hikes and walks, there'll be also lots of opportunities for Hannah and Sophie to tell you about those as well. So thank you ever so much for joining us. For those of you that are new, we will be introducing our speakers shortly, and Hannah and Sophie will be giving us the presentation. There'll be opportunities for you to ask questions at the end of the presentation. What I would suggest is that you use the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen to answer any questions that you might have, and then we'll address those a bit later. We're also delighted to welcome all the way from Peru, from the Sacred Valley, Luciano Casanova. He is the head of manager for explorations for Explorer, one of a fantastic lodge based in the Sacred Valley. So he'll be telling you all about the lodge and the wonderful hikes that you can do in that area. So thank you once again for joining us this evening. And without further adu, I'd like to hand you over to Hannah and Sophie. They've both been with Journey Latin America for 15 years now or more, so you really are in good hands. They really know their stuff, and so I will hand over the presentation to them. Over to you, Hannah and Sophie.
Thank you, Laura. You're putting us to the test now. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. I'm Hannah.
And I'm Sophie.
And we'd like to talk to you about our active experiences in Latin America. First, we'd like to talk a little bit about us. Sorry, I just
failed at the first with a technical hit.
We have. My presentation doesn't seem to want to move on. Here we go. So a little bit about us. This is our sales team. And what I'd say about us is that we've all traveled extensively in Latin America. We all bring a lot of knowledge. And if you're speaking to us, we've either been there, experienced the product, and if we haven't done ourselves, then we can certainly speak to someone else who has. So that's really what we're bringing to the table is our wealth of knowledge.
And we're lucky enough also to have people from Colombia, from Chile, so not just from the UK, which I think also enhances the team knowledge, which is great.
And we offer two different types of holiday. A tailor-made holiday, which is really a private holiday for you and whoever you're traveling with. And it's completely geared to what you'd like to do. And you meet local guides along the way, and the itineraries are completely flexible. We also offer small group tours, and they are small, average of sort of 8 to 12 people on our tours. And they're led by one of our own tour leaders from start to finish. So the tour leader will meet you at the airport and take you right through the tour, and we meet local guides along the way. So for the heart of our presentation, we've picked our top 10 experiences in Latin America. And we've tried to, there's so much on offer there for active experiences, but we've tried to pick a good selection of different activities, from sort of whitewater rafting to trekking to glacier walks, cycling, horse riding, so something for everyone.
Right, so to kick us off, we are heading to Patagonia, to Argentine Patagonia, to the Perito Moreno Glacier near Calafate. I have to say I've been really lucky to do a lot of hiking, walking, different experiences in Latin America. But for me, this was probably my first adventurous activity, actually getting to hike on a glacier. So it was pretty incredible. I'm going to have to ask you to do the slides, because I'm not very good at technology. So first of all, you take a short boat ride, and it's about a 20-minute walk to where you have a safety briefing, and that's where you get your crampons. So you can see in this picture people with their crampons on. A question I get quite a lot is, what shoes do I wear? Like these people in the photo here, I'd say, you know, a sturdy walking shoe, or I just wore my hiking boots, and then they fit the crampons over there. So there's about 15 to 20 people in the group, so fairly small groups, and you're with a really experienced guide, because you are walking on a glacier which is moving, it's got crevices, so you do need to take care. But the scenery was incredible, and having such an up close and personal experience of the glacier itself made you appreciate it even more, because in the afternoon usually you go to the walkways. And from there you can see the whole vista of the glacier, which is just spectacular. This picture looks as though it's been photoshopped, but it is that blue. And if you're lucky, you can see the ice crashing into the water. So for me, this definitely kicks off the top 10 of active experiences in Latin America.
So just across the border in Torres del Paine, so in Chile, in southern Chile, in southern Patagonia, we picked walking in Torres del Paine, and there's so much on offer in Torres del Paine. You know, the mountain range is stunning. You have glaciers, good wildlife, and you can experience it in such different ways as well. They have multi-day treks in Torres del Paine that you can do, staying at refuges along the way, so sort of 4 or 5 days hiking from, you know, point A to point B, and you can also camp as well. Or another option is staying in lodges, and there are some fantastic lodges. One of Luciano's lodges, Explorer, have a lodge right in the centre of the national park, and you can do day walks, full day hikes, you know, sort of 8 to 10 hours, or half day hikes. So they cater for all abilities, which is fantastic. I mean, you know, I think it depends personal preference. I mean, it's quite nice to do sort of a full day hike and then come back to a nice lodge and enjoy a glass of wine. So you're really able to get out there, be really active, you know, be right in the heart of the national park, but not at all compromise on luxury for your sleeping arrangements.
So next we move to the Galápagos. Now, snorkeling, I wouldn't say is the most active of activities, but for me it is definitely up there. The wildlife that you can see in the Galápagos is second to none. It is just incredible. I do have people who are a little bit nervous about snorkeling, but I have to say it's one of those experiences that you have to do in the Galápagos. The guides are fantastic. Ease straight away, and there's a so you with, or someone you've met on the boat. There's a guide in the water with you, and you've also got the Panga drive looking out. The other wildlife that you can see include rays, which are, you know, the width of your handspan. Snorkeling with hammerhead sharks was definitely a highlight, and you can see them in their hundreds as well. So that for me was a wow experience. I can also remember one time when I was snorkeling with a giant sea turtle, and you're not supposed to get too close to the wildlife, but when it's coming at you, it's very difficult to kind of get out the way. So the snorkeling is as good as, if not better than the land experience. And I had to put a few pictures in of the land animals that you can see as well, because it is just fantastic. So the combination of marine and land animals for the Galápagos, be it, you know, walking or snorkeling, is up there for sure.
Moving to Central America and to Costa Rica. Costa Rica is great for so many different adventure activities. It's really geared towards sort of adventure tourism, and we picked zip lining, which is a really fun way of experiencing the scenery, the wildlife of Costa Rica. I'd say the two main areas to do zip lining that we offer would be Monteverde Cloud Forest and also Arenal. And in Monteverde and Arenal, you can experience the hanging bridges up at the tree canopy. and walk through the hanging bridges, and then zip line down, which is a lot of fun for all ages. Actually, they generally say above, if you're a family 10 years and above, zip lining is fantastic. And because Costa Rica is so well set up for tourism, they do have a lot of American tourists there. Safety is excellent, so we have no worries about offering zip lining in Costa Rica. We have complete confidence, and just a really fun thing to do. Arenal volcano, very stunning, and hopefully you'll get a nice clear day and see it from your zip line as you're whizzing past.
So next we move on to Colombia, and I admit now that I am not the most proficient or keen cyclist. So when Journey Latin America said that they were sending me on a city cycling tour of Bogotá, I was somewhat apprehensive, but I actually really enjoyed it. It was such good fun. The bikes were a good quality, and I got a helmet. So for me, the safety was there. And I think the thing that you need to remember somewhere like Bogotá is you're at 2,700 meters above sea level. So perhaps not the one to do on your first day, but definitely second or third day. And the tour's really tailored to your interests and what you enjoy doing. So I was particularly interested in seeing the street art. That for me was actually just incredible. But they do cultural experiences. You can stop off at museums, you can go to local fruit markets. So there's a real variety of things on offer. I'd say it would help having a little bit of experience cycling in urban cities, but not essential, as I can prove. And on a separate note, on other city tours that we offer throughout Latin America, we can do them in Santiago, in Rio, in Buenos Aires, going through colourful La Boca, and even in Havana. So if you are interested in cycling, then it's a great way to get around and see parts of cities that you perhaps wouldn't usually see on a traditional city tour.
On to horse riding. Horse riding you can do throughout Latin America, actually, but Argentina has to be the sort of home of horse riding, and it's a great opportunity to experience life with the gauchos. One of the best ways of being able to do some horse riding is staying on an estancia, so a ranch out in Argentina. And there are several different areas of Argentina that offer sort of estancia stays. Around Buenos Aires, there are some great estancias, good for sort of a couple of days relaxing, and you can do a horse ride for a couple of hours. So just to give you a little bit of a taste of a horse ride. Another area would be Cordoba, so flying up to northwest of Argentina, and they have some fantastic, really proper working estancias up there, Los Potreros, for example. And you can do full day horse rides, taking out a sort of lunch pack with you, half days. And you can also get involved with life on the ranch as well. So you can help with the cattle, for example, which is lots of fun. And you can...
So would you say you were a hindrance or a help with the cattle?
Definitely a hindrance. And you can enjoy life as well on the ranch, because you're quite often hosted by the owners of the ranch. So in the evening you'll have dinner with the owners and have a nice chat, find out what life is like for them, and really get involved. Another area where there are estancias is down in Patagonia, and you can appreciate this fantastic scenery from horseback. So something that I think is a real treat. I also tried polo from one of the estancias. No experience necessary, definitely, when it comes to it. I definitely didn't have any myself, but it was a lot of fun. I was a bit sort of wary of trying it out, but actually it was so much fun, and they even set up a little match for us as well after our lesson. So yeah, definitely a very different experience, and one that you'd really only get in Argentina.
So volcano climbs in Ecuador, I have to say this is one of the most challenging things I've done, and it was incredible. The effort was amazing. So on the left, we've got the highest peak in Ecuador, which is Chimborazo. That's 6,310 meters. I I didn't climb that one. On the right, we've got Cotopaxi, which is only slightly smaller at 5,900 meters. So it is an epic volcano to climb. And you need to make sure you are absolutely fully acclimatized for this. It's a full-on trek. So you start at midnight and you're essentially climbing through the night for, depending on how quick you are, between 7 to 9 hours to get to the summit. But once you're at the summit, the views are absolutely spectacular. So it is well worth the effort. This slide shows some of the acclimatization hikes that you can do. So this is Pastachoa, which I did, and actually they're really enjoyable walks to do, and they kind of give you a sense of, yes, I can climb Cotopaxi, I'm going to do this. So yeah, it was an amazing trip, and you climb to the snow line. And the views from the top are apparently spectacular. Now, the reason I say apparently is because I tend to have a bit of bad luck when I'm going off to Latin America. So about 3 weeks before I was due to climb Cotopaxi, it started erupting and there was smoke coming out and lava. So obviously the whole walk was pulled, which was really disappointing after all the training that I've been doing and, you know, gearing myself up mentally. But the beauty of Ecuador is it's got what they call the Avenue of the Volcanoes. So there are loads of volcanoes along that avenue. And okay, I didn't get to climb Cotopaxi, but I climbed the much more famous Ilanisa, which I'm sure everybody has heard of. But it was still really rewarding and well worth doing. I'm talking about volcanoes in Ecuador, but Latin America has hundreds of volcanoes. So if you were in Chile, you could do a volcano hike. There are some in Guatemala, Nicaragua. There's even one on the Galápagos, which has a fantastic crater that you can climb up to see. And Easter Island as well has them. So they are literally all over Latin America. And you don't have to do the full-on Cotopaxi style ones as well. There are sort of easier ones to do as well.
So moving to quite a different experience from those cold photos of Cotopaxi to Tikal, the jungle in Guatemala. This was such an incredible experience. So waking up sort of first thing in the morning, getting to Tikal Mayan ruins, ready for sunrise, and being able to climb these pyramids to see these fantastic views over the tree canopy was such a treat and very unique. I mean, because most of the Mayan pyramids you can't climb up, but these ones they still allow you to. You don't actually have to climb these steps here. You can they do have sort of steps at the back that are made, man-made, modern man-made. I mean, not ancient Mayan made.
With railings and everything.
Yes,
yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, you feel safe climbing up and getting to the top and waiting for the sun to rise, and hearing the howler monkeys as well in the trees, waking up. Just frightening experience when you don't know what they are, but then when you realize they're howler monkeys, it's just incredible.
Sunset was amazing as well, actually, being there for sunset.
Yeah, that's an alternative. You can go for sunset as well. So if you'd rather not wake up first thing, then the sunset's an alternative. And what I love about Tikal is that there are other Mayan ruins, such as, you know, incredible Mayan ruins like Chichen Itza, for example, in Mexico, but they are quite busy, whereas Tikal is such an amazing, extensive Mayan ruin, but there aren't that many people still. I think it's because it's quite an effort to get there. You know, it is a flight to Flores from, say, Guatemala City or a hop over the border from Belize City, but so worth it, because really you're rewarded with these sort of views, and with that hardly anybody else there. So definitely something that would.
I don't know about you, but it felt more authentic than Chichen Itza in a way, because you've still got all the jungle, and a lot of the Mayan pyramids haven't been excavated properly yet.
Yes,
so you
right.
kind of, it felt more exciting in a way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right, back to Costa Rica, which is a favourite at Journey Latin America. I have to say it's got so many great experiences, and whitewater rafting is definitely one of them. And it's suitable for someone who's never rafted before, and someone who's got quite a lot of experience rafting. It's a great day out. There's a couple of options that we offer. One is a day trip from somewhere like San Jose or Arenal. The day usually starts fairly early, and you reach the river, put in, and then you've obviously had your safety briefing, you've got your life jacket, your helmet, and then off you go. The other way to do it is to actually raft to this lodge, which you can see in the picture, called Pacuari. And that, I have to say, is the ultimate lap of luxury, and one of the only ways to get there, well, the easiest way actually to get there, is to raft there. So it's super exciting having raft. You know, you've worked up your adrenaline, and then you arrive at this gorgeous lodge in the middle of nowhere, and you feel like you are literally in the middle of Costa Rica rainforest, and everything that you've seen on the news and the hype is definitely there. So for me, the whitewater rafting was fantastic. This, I think, is probably maybe a class 3 rapid. So you get a real mixture, two to four class rapids. And also it depends, if you're in the rainier season, there's going to be a bit more swell. In the drier season, you've got it's a little bit calmer, but you still get that thrill of being on the water. So yeah, for me that was fantastic, really good fun.
Yeah, the guides are really good at gauging what the client's like as well, so they'll say, oh, do you want to flip the boat or not, so they'll know, you know.
Did you flip the boat?
I did, yeah.
Oh gosh, I didn't. I love these pictures, they're great.
Yeah. I had on to Peru, I had such very, very fortunate to spend a few weeks out in Peru testing out the different treks, and you can trek the fantastic treks all over Peru. I'm going to concentrate on the ones around Cusco, and the most famous of one being the Inca Trail, which is a multi-day trek, a 4-day trek from Cusco, from kilometer 82, that's sort of 82 kilometers from Cusco to Machu Picchu, and it is the only trek that you arrive at the sun gate of Machu Picchu. So you trek for 4 days and you arrive at the incredible view down over Machu Picchu from the sun gate. It's the only one that will give you the opportunity to do that, and it is camping along the trek as well. I think for me it's a spectacular trek following that traditional Inca path, and it gives you a real sense of achievement as well. You know, it's a lot of people have heard of it, it's very famous, and to be able to say, you know, I made it because of the altitude. The distances aren't too much, sort of 9 to 14 kilometers per day, but because of the altitude, you know, you go up to sort of 4,200 meters. You do feel it, and it is a challenging trek, but very rewarding. The one thing I will say about the Inca Trail is that it's quite regulated, and you'll have to camp at certain points. So the campsites can be busy, and you do have to stay in those campsites. So you don't get the feeling of sort of camping in the wilderness on your own. That's just something to bear in mind, that even though they do permits and it is regulated, you will find the trail is busy. An alternative trek that goes from a similar area and arrives at Machu Picchu, not at the sun gate, but down in the village, is the Salcantay trek, which I also did. Absolutely incredible, stunning views, and it can be camping, but you can, if you're doing it on a private basis, you don't have to camp at specific campsites. You can camp in the middle of nowhere. You get that feeling of being in the middle of nowhere. Again, at altitude, this is the sort of walk up to 4,600 meters. So you're definitely feeling it here, but it's so worth it with just that sort of spectacular view. You can get a little help on the Salcantay as well. Your bags are taken by horse, and if you are suffering a little bit, there are some bits where you can go on a horse as well, which is not possible on the Inca Trail.
Wow.
It was, yeah, completely stunning. And with both treks, actually, you're sort of going up to really high altitude, 4,200 meters, 4,600 meters, but then you're over the next 3 days, you're sort of dropping down. So you go from this sort of landscape, this sort of snow-covered mountains, down to sort of much more sort of tropical feeling, which, you know, the diversity on one trek over 4 days is incredible. As I mentioned, the southern side is camping, but you can also, there is the option to stay in lodges. So if camping's not for you, don't be put off. There are some very comfortable lodges that you can do. They do a slightly different route. It's slightly longer because they do some more sort of acclimatization treks. But camping isn't the only option on the southern side. There are the lodges, which are, you know, very comfortable. And this is the fantastic view.
And here we are, as you can see.
Yeah. If only.
If only.
And I just wanted to say there are also lots of other treks in this area if you really want to get off the beaten track, because there are people on the Southern Trek and the English Trail. If you really want to get off the beaten track, there are other treks like the Lares trek, for example, and I did that as sort of a 3-day trek, and I didn't see another tourist for 3 days. I was the only one with my guide, my porter, my cook. I felt completely spoiled. And yeah, I didn't see anyone apart from locals, and they'd spy me from, you know, across the mountain, and I think they were miles away, and then they'd come over and they'd be with me in sort of 5 minutes. They'd run down the mountain and up the other side in about 5 minutes, and to come and see me. It was such an incredible experience. So there are lots of different options for treks in this area. And from Peru,
yes,
from us talking about Peru, I'd like to hand over to Luciano, who is joining us from the Sacred Valley, the amazing lodge, Explorer Lodge in the Sacred Valley.
Thank you, Hannah and Sophie. Hi, everyone. How's it going? Thanks for the invitation. I'm quite excited to share with you a little bit of what we do here and what we can offer here at Explora Sacred Valley. So, as you know, we are in the Sacred Valley, but actually we are located in Urquillos Ravine. Urquillos is a tiny town in the middle of the valley. So that gives us the fact that we are located in the middle of the valley, that gives us a good rate of explorations that we can do. Definitely, if you heard about the Sacred Valley, of course, that is quite surrounded for archaeological sites, like definitely Ollantaytambo, Moray, the salt mines. But the Sacred Valley is more than that. If you have the opportunity to come to Explora, we will explore the Sacred Valley in a different and unique way, because we divide the territory in ecological floors. So we have explorations that are going to be at the bottom of the valley. Then we can go a little bit higher and stay in the Maras Plateau that is usually about 3,500 meters. And definitely we can go up to the mountain range that I don't know if you can see it, but it's right behind me. So the idea is adapt ourselves and start like doing the explorations or hiking depending on the altitude that we are, and also how we can adapt ourselves to the altitude in terms of elevation. But other important thing that you need to know is that we offer more than 48 explorations. Not all of them are gonna be hikes. We offer hikes, we offer bike rides, we offer explorations in overland, or by overland, that's pretty much by car. But even though if we do that, we are gonna explore the Sacred Valley in a unique way, because the approach that we have to the archaeological sites or to the local communities, it's different, because our idea first is to walk through the area to understand a little bit the way of living here in the Sacred Valley, or to understand why people decided to build an archaeological site in one specific place, and then we can focus in that area. In terms of difficulty, we have explorations for everyone. You don't have to be like a pro trekker or a pro hiker to come to the Sacred Valley and visit the valley. We have half-day explorations, full-day explorations, and in terms of difficulty, we can go to easy to the hardest one. The longest exploration that we have, for example, it has almost 20 kilometers that literally cross over the range from one side to the other one. But also we have explorations that are gonna be just 3 kilometers, 4 or 5 kilometers, full days, half days, depending on what we would like to do and see. One important thing is that we have customized exploration, so we can explore a little bit of everything. We can explore a little bit of culture, a little bit of archaeology, a little bit of living culture. And even though if you are just want to stay one day here at the lodge and relax, still the connection could happen here at the lodge, because our idea to connect is not always outside. It also could happen inside the facilities. So that's why, for example, our gastronomy here is going to be quite powerful. One important thing about Explora is that we have a partnership with Virgilio Martinez. So most of the food or the products that we use in our menu are going to be local products. I don't know if you can see like the corn and the quinoa that are growing actually in front of the hotel. So the idea also during the explorations is to see, for example, the crops and the production that the Sacred Valley can offer, and you can taste it at the menu here at the hotel. So that's why I was saying, if you don't have or if you wanna just to stay here one day and do not go and explore the Sacred Valley, still you can connect with the place by our gastronomy. And finally, other important thing that about Sacred Valley, it's definitely culture, and the Incas is going to be quite powerful, and it's going to be a good entrance to Machu Picchu. But remember that Sacred Valley, it's not just Machu Picchu or the Incas or the archaeological sites that we have in the surroundings. Also, it's going to be the living culture that we have here. The fact that we can connect with the communities in our surroundings, with the landscaping. Depending where you are, you're going to see that the landscapes change a lot. If you do an exploration or a hike at the bottom of the valley, you're going to see that it's more humid, you have more vegetation, more crops. But if you go up to the mountain range, change completely. You are going to be closer to the glaciers. You have to see a lot of lagoons. You have the chance to see different flora and fauna that only grows in that area of the valley. So that's why it's really important to explore the Sacred Valley in a different way. And if you have the chance to come and see it and visit it with Explora, definitely you will not regret, of course. But at the same time, you are gonna not just connect with the place, also you are going to connect with yourself, because our idea during the explorations is also to take your time to enjoy the place, to see what's going on, go deeper. That's actually our philosophy right now. So yeah, that will be pretty much. And if you have the chance to visit the valley, one important thing that you need to know, as I told you before, we have crafted exploration, we have easy or harder explorations, but most of our hikes are going to be one-day trips. That's the important thing. So the idea is stay here at the lodge, go out and explore, and then you have the chance to come back here and stay at the lodge and enjoy a good meal, enjoy a nice bed, a nice shower. That's something that we call the luxury of the essential. So yeah, that will be pretty much. I don't know if you would like to see a little bit of the area that you have the chance to explore. This is part of the hotel. Now this is the valley here behind me, and we have the mountain range at the back. So hope to see you soon here. Thank you very much.
That was brilliant, Luciano. Thank you so much. And how wonderful after such a long time to be able to actually look at the Andes and see a bit of the Sacred Valley. And also a huge thank you to Sophie and Hannah for delivering such a lovely presentation and just reminding us of all the wonderful ways that you can explore Latin America in all the different active ways. I just want to go back to the Galápagos, snorkeling in Galápagos, because I think we lost your volume momentarily. So I don't know if Hannah and Sophie, if you're there, if you can come back on. And perhaps, Sophie, you can tell us, you were saying that one of the snorkeling in the Galápagos is one of the key activities that you do. And then we lost a little bit of what you said, so I don't know if you can remember, but perhaps you can also tell us a little bit about the temperatures of the waters in the Galápagos. Did you need to wear a wetsuit? Was the water quite rough? Is it, I imagine it's very different from doing a snorkeling activity in the Caribbean. So if you could give us a bit more information on that, that would be really helpful.
So there's two different seasons in the Galápagos. One where you've got slightly warmer temperatures, air and water, and then when it's slightly cooler. So I'd say August time to October, you're probably going to need a wetsuit, not a full one, but a shorty for sure. and then at other times of year you don't need them. So when I've been in January, I didn't take one. The one thing I would say about a wetsuit, though, even if it is quite warm, is it does mean that you can stay in the water for longer periods of time, because you're bound to get, you know, pretty cold at some point. So wearing a wetsuit is actually quite a good idea. But I don't know where you lost me, so sorry if I repeat myself, but I was just talking about the experience in general in the Galápagos and how good the marine wildlife is, as well as the land wildlife. I think we've all seen giant tortoises and blue-footed boobies and, you know, the different land iguanas, but also the marine life is fantastic. You know, from sea lions and marine iguanas to giant sea turtles and penguins. I can remember there was one time I was snorkeling and suddenly the guide started shouting at us, and I was thinking, oh gosh, have I, you know, gone in a place where I'm not supposed to be or something? And so we all clambered back into the boat. And it was then that he told us that a killer whale had been spotted. So so the wildlife is amazing and completely unknown as well.
That's brilliant. Thanks ever so much, Sophie. And I don't know if anybody else has any questions. We have maybe just 3 or 4 minutes before we end the webinar. So if you do have a question, please do pop it into the Q&A box. And in the meantime, I just wanted to ask Hannah a question about the treks in Peru. I know that the Salcantine, the Inca Trail treks, they take maybe 3 or 4 nights. You need a few nights to allow to do those treks. But if somebody is short of time, are there any alternatives for exploring Machu Picchu in less than 3 nights?
Yeah, if you're short on time, then there is an option to do the mini Inca Trail. So it's doing the last day of the Inca Trail trek. So you take the train further down the line towards Machu Picchu, and then you do the last day of the trek. And the real advantage is that you get that view from the sun gate, and can enter Machu Picchu still through the sun gate, but still do just the last day. So it's just a one full day trek, and then you have the night at Machu Picchu. So that's a good alternative to do if you're short on time.
Brilliant. Okay, well that's fantastic. And just before we end now, maybe Luciano, you can tell us what given the situation now that travel to Peru is opening up, how are you finding travel, you know, for visitors that want to head out to Peru at the moment? Are restaurants opening? How is it easy to visit Machu Picchu? What is it like being a tourist in Peru at the moment?
Well, actually, before like 1 month or 2 months ago, we had different restrictions. Now that the pandemic is like getting soft, we can say it in that way in Peru. Now it's getting easier. Definitely, still we will have to follow the protocols, like that we need to wear masks. In some cases, you're gonna need to wear a face shield. But in general terms, actually now it's getting really easy to travel around Peru. We're giving all the facilities to our visitors, to our travelers. The restaurants are opening. Machu Picchu is now by full capacity. The rest of the archaeological sites are also in full capacity. So now we're giving all the facilities because we want to recover ourselves as fast as we can. So definitely still you have a lot of protocols to follow in terms of the COVID situation, but it's easier to travel now in Peru. We lift a lot of the restrictions that we had like 2 or 3 months ago.
Great. Okay. Well, that's brilliant. Well, thank you very much, Luciano and Sophie and Hannah, for delivering a fantastic presentation. I hope everyone at home has enjoyed watching this evening. And just to let you know that if you do want to get in touch with us, thank you very much for putting up my contact details. I don't have to sort of spell everything out. But also in the chat box, I've put the registration link to the next virtual travel club, which is going to be on food and wine of Latin America on the 30th of November. But also we'll be hosting a series of events, so focusing on the wildlife of Latin America, self-drive in Latin America, family holidays, celebration holidays. So you name it, we'll be talking about our favorite ways to explore Latin America. So we very much look forward to welcoming you at those future events. Thank you for joining us this evening. We hope to see you soon. Thank you, Luciano. Thank you. Thanks, Sophie.
Thank
Bye,
you,
Hannah.
guys. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye, everyone. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.